another moment of like, oh, you people are all hypocrites is that I was on eBay once and I saw that he had fucking ordered some Girls Gone Wild DVDs. And I was like, oh, all of you are full of shit. And like, it was just so infuriating because I had gotten in trouble for like, she found like a poem I wrote because I had a crush on a boy. And I got in trouble, whereas he's fucking watching co-eds show their tits and he's totally fine. So, okay, yeah. So, yeah, I was being
She's
literally...
like, Dina, there's a difference. His heart's not in it.
That doesn't mean anything,
Don't get too
honey.
invested. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are just meaningless whores. But you're in love, and that's bad. So, yeah, like, she literally would... one of my best friends lived around the corner from us, and I would go hang out, and then they'd be like, oh, let's invite Ron over, like another boy who lived in the neighborhood. And I'd be so nervous because, like, my mom could drive by at any moment and see that there's a boy there. I was like, okay, I don't want to be weird, whatever. But she would often drive by, and if there was a guy there, she'd be like, let's go. Like, she was literally showing up to places to make sure I wasn't hanging out with guys or just testing me to see if I really was where I said I was going. But, like, one of the most traumatic things was I was, like, 19. I started dating somebody. And by this point, I was a pro at covering my tracks. Like, I just knew everything to do. So I would text a friend, this is where I have my mom contacts you. Like, I had it on lock, right? And so he and I decided to spend a night at a hotel. And months later, I got a call from her, and I know the sound in her voice when she caught me doing something. And she was like, you have to come home right now. I was like, oh, fuck. So I get home, and she's like, I need to see your phone. And she goes through my phone contacts, and she asks me who every male name is. Who's this? Who's this? Who's this? I'm like, that's blah, blah, blah. And then she got to my boyfriend's name. I was like, that's my coworker. She went through the whole alphabet. And then she came back to Gabriel, my boyfriend at the time's name. And she's like, now tell me who he really is. Like, oh, shit. I don't know how she knows this, but, like, I'm still just going to lie. But, like, he's my coworker. And she fucking flipped out. She was like, I know you were at a hotel. Like, it was a whole, like, she actually, like, I just had to run away. I'd never run away before, but I actually was so furious and I was so scared that I actually had to just run out of the house, and I just drove away. But here's how much of a nerd I was. I was like, fuck, I have to do my homework. So I ran back into the house and got my backpack and then left again.
You had her proofread it too.
Yeah, I was like, wait, could you help me with math problem 6? And I didn't even know where I was going. I called my boyfriend. I was like, can I come over? This is crazy. But my mom, for like how crazy she was, also just like truly has a kind heart and like really loved us, me and my brother, more than anything. So it's just duality of like she's nuts and like has this like thing in her head of the religion and everything, but also she's like the most tender, kind-hearted person. So it's just weird. So most of all, she called me and she was like, just come back. She just was afraid of where I was going to go and wanted to make sure I was safe. So she's like, just come back home. So I came back, and then that's where it gets into anyway. So that's that. And my point is, I could not figure out how she figured out that I was at the hotel with him. Like, I just it drove me crazy because I was like, is it possible one of her coworkers was at the hotel and like knows what I look like and saw me? Like, I was just running it back in my head.
You make it sound like dueling CIA operatives.
Yeah.
You were like, I was good at covering my tracks, but she was even better at uncovering my tracks.
It was literally that, where it was like my ego is hurt too, because I'm like, I was good. I was good. And then, and for years I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure it out. And then years later, she was talking about my stepdad and like how she thought he was like just having affairs and stuff. And she's like, told me that she got a private detective to follow him.
And it was you.
Yeah, it was me. It clicked in my head that like, oh, that had to be it. She must have hired a detective to follow me. That's the only way she could have known. And it clicked in my head. I was like, but I didn't think to like, I never would ask her about anything like that. We've never like addressed all the things she did when I was growing up. We kind of just like pretend that it never happened. But yeah, so like, anyway, yeah, I was being literally surveilled. And on top of that, I was also like, oh yeah, God also is, I guess, judging me or something. So it was just like both from every angle. I felt like I was about to get in trouble, until ultimately I like just took me years to sort out my personal beliefs about religion itself. And like it was really hard for me to come to the fact that I just don't think I believed in it. And so at that, and even after I was like, okay, you know what, I don't believe in this, I still just felt so much guilt and like, but what if? And like, so yeah, it was a lot of feeling watched.
Wow. So you felt like growing up for the most part, you did believe it? You weren't just going through the motions?
I did up to a point when it like actually started affecting me. So when it became a thing of like, oh, my mom is following me around. I can't hang out with guys for a reason I don't understand. Like I was being so seen as just like a woman who is in this religion of Islam. And I never saw myself that way. I was just like, I'm just a person. I want to hang out with my friend Ron. I don't want to do anything wrong. It doesn't make sense to me that it's wrong just to talk to someone because they're a guy. Like none of it made sense to me. What didn't make sense that she was like, your brother's a man, so the rules don't apply to him the way they apply to you. I was like, none of this made sense to me. And so, and also I was like a tomboy. Like I always really had more of like if we're going to use, I always identified more with like typical male identifying things in life rather than like whatever. And so I just didn't like being treated like that. And I ultimately had to decide whether or not I was going to believe in this because it was affecting my life, in a way that was detrimental. And so, but throughout I still like was, I guess, believing in it up until like high school, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's the age where, you start to question everything, even if you're not raised religious. You start to question everything that your parents have instilled in you as truth, whatever that may be. And especially if you're religious, it's very easy to drink the Kool-Aid when you're young and you haven't really formed your own opinions or your own real outlook on life. And then once you get to hit those teen years, the religious stuff really gets called into question when you start to feel like you're a bad person for having just natural teenage impulses and inclinations. And
exactly,
that's where it's really like, oh, this is not just frowned upon by my mom, but this is considered wrong. This is considered evil or ungodly. Like, how can that be? I'm just doing what I see everybody else doing this. Do they have the same level of guilt and shame as me? I don't want to live in this, paranoid state anymore.
Exactly.